Yeah, what's good, Joe? It's your man, the Bigga P, and here to share my thoughts on the fight card from yesterday on Spike TV, Adrien Broner versus Ashley Theophane. First, before I go on to those cards, before I go on to that fight, there were two other fights on there, which were not only pretty good fights though, but definitely carried the entertainment factor of this card greatly. The first fight was Davis versus Avila. Davis has gotten a lot of attention late. Of course, his powers, as being a young protege of Floyd Mayweather. The guy hits pretty hard, hits pretty damn hard, and has has very good hand speed. If it is your typical journeyman who's been in there with a lot of the Vlad contenders and extra champions. The fight itself was interesting. Was an entertaining and interesting fight. One thing that I need to say about Davis is the people that describe him, they need to, I think, chill a little bit on the superlatives that he's like the next Floyd Mayweather. It's not there yet. He's far from there. Power and speed is all good, but there's a lot of things like the footwork needs a little work as does his defense a little bit, and also his tendency just to swing very wild. Um, because I feel if I remember correctly from last night, he was really connecting. He was hitting nice counter shots and everything like that. But well, he hung tough though. Eventually, the power wore him down, and the stoppage was probably one of the more brutal ones I've seen as of late. I mean, you get hit with four uppercuts. If they're like jackhammers, like boom, 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 boom. You see something like that. You gotta stop the fight. Immediately. And there are people out there. I was reading that people out there saying that stoppage was bad. Like, what do you want him to do? Just because he didn't fall or his eyes were clear? You're supposed to protect yourself at all times. When you're over there, you're getting hit with four uppercuts in a row, like boom, 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 boom. You got to stop the fight. It doesn't matter I mean, if he's not, he could have either took a knee. He could have, but he could have, went somewhere. He could have at least gotten on his bike. But when you can't take punches like that after again being into the ropes and thinking that the referee is gonna let that continue. So it was a good fight. Davis is, like I said, is a good fight, and he still needs to be brought along a little bit more. Um, but like I said, he's not the next Floyd Mayweather yet. But if they give, but like I said, as long as he has to work on his footwork and just you know use his jab a little bit more and the wild punches, and stop throwing the really wild punches like he was literally loading up on every single punch and every punch was a knockout shot. And you can't really do that. I mean, he's getting away with it now because he's a young boy. So you got to be able to. I mean, and he was facing your journeyman, so he could get away with that for a little while. But when as he I have a feeling that they're gonna probably gotta bring him up a little bit more. And when you're facing a more experienced fighters that will actually be able to pick you off, it's not necessarily a good idea to start winging wild shots, especially feeling the especially let's say if you're taking deep into a fight, and bam, your stamina is done, and it was done actually. If I remember correctly, I mean Davis was actually breathing hard at times. I saw going back to car taking those deep breaths. So I mean that's just pretty much one thing I took away from that fight. But otherwise, like I said, Davis is a good prospect, and like I said, I just hope that he's actually brought along a little bit more slowly. Um, the next fight was Easter Jr. versus Mendez. Mendez being, of course, a former champion, I believe, at super featherweight. And Easter, who I can't believe actually can make 135. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure probably within a couple years, I don't say a couple years, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 years, he will be competing as a welterweight with that type of height. Because, I mean, he reminds me of pretty much built wise, probably a lightweight Paul Williams. Just not his actual fighting style though. But that's what I got from. Although there are a lot of then Tarver was chiming in that he was the next Tommy Hearns, which is another big superlative to actually use description to describe somebody. I don't see Tommy Hearns completely yet. Or actually, I wasn't seeing Tommy Hearns in Easter yet until the actual ending of the fight. But the fight was actually pretty good. I mean, Mendes was catching I mean, there was a wonderful display of infighting, and Mendes being the more experienced was actually was countering the hell of him and was landing long shots to long right hands to the body, and and it's like, I mean, Easter took. I mean, he was getting countered pretty much, but he took it, and he took it very well. I mean, he wasn't in any distress or anything like that. And then Mendes, the infighting, the pressure, the body head combos were was started to take its toll. And Mendes usually has I mean, good fighter though, but his punch resistance I don't think is usually the best. And I think ever since of course going up in weight, I don't think it's really improved all that much. The knockout itself was absolutely brutal. I mean, it was a Mike Tyson punch out fight night type of knockout. I mean, it was just one because Mendes at the time was keeping his left hand low. It was very low, and I think he was trying to roll with the punches, roll with the punch when he was on the ropes, and then he just took a high overhand right on the temple, and he just I mean, it pretty much I think the lights just went out. I mean, he just slid down to the canvas like it was I'm usually it's very rare. It's very rare to actually see someone just he just literally hit every rope and then just collapsed. He was done. Uh, I thought that was just a spectacular shot, and the crowd thought so too, because you just heard that. Oh, yeah, he was on the ground I mean, he got up, but he was clearly. I mean, eyes. The lights were on, but no one was home. It was drooling all over the place. So that I was like, that was a wonderful victory, and Easter really took a big step in knocking out a former world champion like that. So I mean, I could definitely see probably Easter probably getting a shot probably within the next maybe year and a half so at 135. I was really impressed by that. And now it takes us to the main event. The main event when Adrien Broner-Ashley Theophane fight was announced, my first reaction was Broner's facing the guy that got beat up by Pablo Cesar Cano, one of Floyd's undercards, and of course, I mean that's how I saw it because that's the last fight I actually saw Theophane and I actually watched. But he's more known for being the guy that gave Danny Garcia his first test on ESPN so many years ago. I think he lost a split decision. Personally, I think Theophane won that fight, but that's that's for another conversation. But Theophane is, I mean, he like I said, I mean, he was not he was not a ranked fighter at all, really. I mean, he was like I said, he's been a pretty much a 140 stalwart, but he's never been a guy that actually got that one victory that would take him to that next level. I mean, like I said, those two fights I just mentioned, those are pretty much his most two well-known fights. I may have actually seen him win a fight, but it probably was a very nondescriptive fight. So but when this fight was announced, I was like, yeah, wow, Broner was gifted that 140 belt, and now he's facing against Theophane of all people. And of course, I wasn't with that fight in the first place. I'm thinking, okay, this fight's as long as Broner's in shape or whatever, this fight won't last long. And then of course Broner's legal issues started coming into play, and then the personal issues, and then a couple of days ago at the weigh-in, infamously Broner was 0.4 of a pound over the 140 limit. And then usually in his previous fights except for the title fight, they had those +1 things saying that if as long as they're not tough fight, they could weigh +1 over the weight limit, which I'm not a fan of because, like I said, I mean, if you're gonna do that, then you gotta make it explicitly first to the people that this is a 141 catch weight or something like that. You can't just go and just bring it. Oh, it's 140, but you can't make it. And this time, because it's a championship fight, you have to actually make your weight, and it wasn't a contracted thing because 140 is the maximum level for the super lightweight / junior welterweight belt. So yeah, So basically, what happened was he weighed in 4 tenths of a pound, and he had, he's given 2 hours to lose it. Now, cutting weight, I know it's a tricky thing. Um, I mean, most people think, say, hey, it's just the easiest thing in the world. It's not. I mean, depending if if you're already dehydrated, as it is, and you don't have anything else to burn. Um, but in this particular case, Bernard, I guess, didn't even try to, because as soon as he stepped off the scale, he started guzzling Gatorade, and then that was that. So what happened? So what happened is Broner lost that belt on the scales, which would be the second time he did this. He did this at 130. He lost that belt on the scales too. Um, one of my pet peeves, and one of is fighters making their weight. And usually when I see fighters not blatantly, now Broner's done this multiple times, so this is why I get irritated with him. Which is why I'm not a big fan of him. Like when you blow off your weight, making weight, that to me that shows that's not professional behavior. I truly cannot begin to tell you how much I despise people who don't make their weight. I mean, my thing is like you're getting paid a good amount of money to to perform, to fight. Um, you should be able to be first on your job and make your weight for your fight. That's all. And the fact, I mean, now you think, oh, it's 4 tenths of a pound. It's not like it's like a pound or two. It doesn't make a difference. You're fighting. You have a championship belt. You're fighting. Contract that says 140. Make the weight. You try to at least. And he didn't bother to do that. And it's 4 tenths of a pound. I mean, come on. I mean, everything. I mean, he probably could have shaved that beard or whatever or something, to actually try to attempt to make that weight. Speaking of beards, what is up with the DC Commission these days? Like, I mean, I don't understand why. I don't know why they're allowing this, but first I complained about this in the Lamont Peterson fight. Having big beards, like how are they actually able to go into the ring? Like they shouldn't be able to go in the ring with big beards like this. I just don't understand it. How that's a thing. Because before in the past, usually you see the boxers like they come in and they come in looking all rugged and whatnot, and then by fight night they've all shaved, or it's shaved low. So that's the part I don't understand how these big beards are all of a sudden, their fighters are actually allowed to actually get into the ring with this. Um, don't understand that at all. But yeah, so that added a little drama, and add to the fact, I mean, Ashley did make his way. I mean, Ashley was probably a big underdog, and I think he went. I mean, between that, I mean, it looked like now Ashley. I don't think Ashley's not a big puncher at all. Not a big puncher at all. But he is durable, as he had never been stopped in any of his 6 losses. Um, so the Flash, like he could actually. So the thought was maybe that if maybe he took Broner deep, he could probably try the sap. He could probably try to sap his stamina because of the conditioning. The fight itself was not interesting. Although Broner did do his best to actually try to get rid of Ashley early. But the talent level between those two, the disparity was just too great. But I think most people on Twitter, I remember I was reading, like, and myself included, was like saying, like, what happens when this gets into round 6, 6, 7, and surprisingly, like I said, I mean, Broner started slowing down a little bit. Although although I have to say, Broner looked like he wasn't in any distress or anything. I mean, Broner himself, knowing his own condition, his body type was a lot stronger than Theophane's. And because, I mean, Theophane looked like he was ready to go as early as probably like the second, third round. But he hung in there, and I think he started winning. He started winning rounds off activity. I think probably after 6. I know I saw some people. I mean, I saw the scores were all over the board. I mean, Broner was up to me at stoppage. He was up to me. Probably I'd say like maybe 5-3-1 or 5-3. Yeah, well 5-3-1 because he was probably winning the 9th round. He was like 5-3 or whatever, 5 rounds to 3, or maybe even 6-2, somewhere around there. But the other thing was actually coming on strong in the later rounds a little bit. But he was getting busted up a little bit over the eyes and everything. And the stoppage I thought was a little bit bad. Make no mistake, Theophane was hurt and he was ready to go, but I mean, and the replay showed that he was hit low. So pretty much when he got on his bike, was telling the referee was hit low. Um, the referee pretty much took it as that was a concession of defeat, stopping the fight. Um, that's pretty much all. That's pretty much like my thoughts on the actual fight. Like I said, it was not a very interesting or exciting fight to watch. But Broner got the win, but unfortunately, like I said, he lost the title on the scales. So now that title is vacant, and I believe now DiRocco versus Burns, I think which is next month. I think will probably be the fight to actually fill that vacancy for the belt, since DiRocco was the WBA's #1 contender. The real fireworks on that fight started afterwards. Though, where Broner pretty much got on the mic and did what everyone, did what most people wanted him to do, and that is to call out Floyd Mayweather, who was ringside as his fighters were on this card. Um, my thoughts on that. Um, I mean, of course, as I said, I mean, as most people know, Broner and Floyd have had quite the feud in the press, and especially culminating with Floyd um, verbally ripping apart Broner in an interview. Always broke. You lost to. You lost. Never mind losing to McDonough. Porter, you lost to Ponce. All types of stuff. It got nasty and it got personal real quick. And Broner let him know that that shit wasn't going. That shit wasn't cool. It wasn't happening like that. I was talking about challenging him fight, sparring. It doesn't matter that he had to see him. And I was like, okay, that's cool, son. I mean, he's emotional right now. He's, probably like his testosterone's probably off the chain right now. Say what you have to do. And of course, Floyd was just pretty much clapping and didn't look like he was very interested at anything. And it looked like he probably took it as a joke. But I don't think the saga between those two are over. And it's unfortunate though, since like I said, Floyd is 38 years old. I know he's coming off some surgery after the Berto fight. Um, who even knows? Like, I mean, personally, if he's gonna retire, he needs to retire. I've already had issue with Floyd, you know, not being able to seemingly let the game go, um, as he should. As he's commenting left and right on things. But hey, I mean, Broner versus Floyd, that would probably be a good fight, and it obviously probably won't happen. If that happened, it would be 2017. But like I said, Floyd would be 39 years old. I mean, or is he 30? Yeah, no. Floyd is. He'd be 39. He'd be 39 years old, I think. So, and even then, I probably think he's still, based on what I saw last night, he'd probably still school him unless Broner, got, probably replaced Mike Stafford, who is a decent trainer, but I think he just enables him too much. He babies him too much. Um, and I think in order for Broner to actually really go to the next level, probably Stafford probably has to go at some point. But yeah, other than that, I mean, other things I saw, I know DC Armory, there seemed like there was the AC wasn't on, and there were a lot of people like sweating in there. I've personally been to DC Armory. I was there for the HBO card, um, with Ortiz and Thompson, and it wasn't as hot as it looked like on TV. Everyone was like on that fight was just like, whew, was fanning themselves, and I went there. I was just cool, so who knows? But yeah, overall, I mean, looks like it was an entertaining card, and Spike again, all the PBCs, Spike is the PBC and Spike is probably is my favorite version of it. So yeah, like I said, it was also kind of weird, watching these type of fights on a Friday. That means like, what am I gonna watch tonight on Saturday? So yeah, those are my thoughts about this card, and I know next weekend is Pacquiao Bradley 3 along with Martin Joshua. So hopefully, like I said, I've been pretty busy, so I haven't had time to make any more videos like that. But hopefully, I probably will make a video on that too next week. So until then, peace.